Well, hi everyone, and welcome to another day here in Bronie's world. And I was going to say, well, good morning, everyone, but it's actually because of daylight savings just hit here in Australia. It is actually midday, so we're on the spectrum of AM and PM. So that really just threw me out a little bit. Well, today it's also we have just come off a long weekend and school holidays in some states, and school holidays are just finished. So we don't have as many on today, but that's okay. This recording's there for you for when you're ready. But I have my amazing new friend who is a retired pharmacist. And last time we had her on, was having her 78th birthday. But I tell you what, she doesn't look 78, but today, my beautiful friend, Pharmacist Lisa, is talking on a subject that actually a lot of people talk about and struggle with, and that's getting quality sleep. So, with no further ado, sweet Lisa, I'm going to hand it over to you. Actually, before I hand it over to you, see this watch here.
Oh, beautiful.
Right. I actually hate wearing watches. They irritate me because I have such small wrists. But in October, I have to because I do the Royal Flying Doctor Service Ocean to Outback walk as a fundraiser. And I have to have this on to track my kilometers and so forth. And it has a sleep thing on it. Well, this is how well this doesn't work. Is it told me the other night, 2 nights ago, not last night, the night before, I haven't checked today, that I had no sleep. And I said to my husband, well, this is crazy. We went to bed at 10:30. We didn't get up to around 8-ish, maybe a bit earlier. Woke up earlier, checked the baby, did whatever. And it's telling me I've had no sleep. So what did I do all night? I don't know. Anyway, so some of these devices don't actually work, but then the night before it told me all these other sort of weird statistics. So go figure. But anyway, I'm going to hand it over to you now, Lisa, because it's just a digital thing that doesn't always do its job. Doesn't always count my steps properly either.
Oh, yes. I've noticed that as well. And sometimes I go to sleep and I forget to put my watch on. So then I don't get a reading for the night before. And I just noticed that the battery is completely dead now. I need to.
Well, it doesn't work if the battery's completely dead either.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm not going to bore you with my walk to the back room and have it plugged in. We'll just dive right in. I wanted to make sure that I covered as many things that were important to people regarding sleep because I have a tremendous amount to say about sleep, but I want to make sure that everything that people need to know and want to know about sleep gets covered. And that's why I like to ask the questions first. And right now, I have somebody that says they're sleeping really well because they're taking a specific agent, osteo.
Yeah, the OsteoFX, which is in our Healthy Body Start Pack.
That's right. And if everyone is doing what they think they need to do to get good sleep, here's a question for you all. How many people are waking up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed?
Not me.
That's a good question. Now, remember last month when I spoke, I talked about the abdominal heart assist breathing. When you breathe with your abdominal wall and get the circulation going, boost the heart rate, and that helps clear up sinuses so that you can breathe more clearly. It also helps pump more blood to the brain, which will, wake you up as well. Keep the alertness going. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to try that exercise and boost it to their advantage in terms of feeling more awake when they get out of bed.
I will admit I do it when I remember.
Okay. A lot of the things that deal with our healthy lifestyle is having those patterns and habits that are persistently present. Because if we miss a good night's sleep, it's not going to be catastrophic most of the time, but it's when we have a long-term habit that's not healthy that we struggle and suffer long term, especially when it comes to circulation and getting the type of sleep that we need that helps restore our brain and maintain our memory. It's interesting how reduced circulation to the brain over time is going to impact memory and lead to problems we don't want to have. When there is a reduction in blood flow, the blood begins to stagnate, and it's a lot easier for clots to form as well. And when you have people at night that have a blood pressure medication they need to take for either arrhythmia or blood pressure, if they forget their nighttime sleep, then usually that type of medication is usually a 24-hour medication. So since they hadn't really taken anything since the night before, by the time the early morning arrives, say after 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, that's when they may be subject to a boost in blood pressure, because by that time the medication has worn its activity down. Arrhythmias set in, and that's when people have the perfect arrangement for a possible stroke or even a heart attack because of the changes in the circulation due to the missing medication that needs to be there as consistently as possible. Anyway, circulation is a big, since the last suggestion to try on last Zoom. Okay, so.
Yeah, because Rusty was just saying that she's been doing the breathing exercises and yes, working. And she meant to say since the last Zoom when you suggested it.
Oh, so she's having a good experience with that. Is that right? I was just going to say.
That's what she's saying.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. It's hard for have my eyes go in two different directions. But in any case, all right, so that's one of the things. The other issue that might come up is falling asleep. Do people lay in bed and wonder when they're ever going to fall asleep because they're processing all kinds of thoughts and wondering about what's going to happen the next day? So that can delay sleep time. The other thing that's a serious consideration is eating. Ideally, one would have dinner and then not have to go to sleep or want to go to sleep at least 3 hours after dinner. If you've had a lot of food, and especially if you enjoy alcoholic beverages, wine or whatever, and then even a dessert, and it's very close to bedtime, that interferes with the quality of sleep that helps your body restore itself and rejuvenate itself and allow you to wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed that we talked about. We want to have that experience when we wake up because we know our body is complete with the process and we've been rejuvenated enough to start our day with all the activities that are required, that we set ourselves up for. So going to sleep is an issue sometimes without waiting too long. If we spend a lot of time in front of television or computers, that'll delay our sleep time onset. If the room is too hot or too cold, there's a perfect space there. Are we getting enough fresh air? And are there soothing noises or no noises at all? Ideally, there would be complete darkness because any light is going to stimulate the retina. Speaking of the retina, the cells that form that back part of the eye, as well as the brain, those tissues are highly identical. They're very closely related, and they're very high-performing cells that need to catch the light beam that gives us the vision, and then it sends that signal to the brain, and the brain recognizes what we're seeing, and we recognize it as a different color or an item or a blockage to our walking pattern or whatever it is that's important for us to recognize. Family members, if we don't have a retina that works well, we're not going to recognize danger. We're not going to be able to drive. So those two types of cells are very closely related, and I'm going to give you a few tips on how you can improve your eyesight, which will also improve your brain power by eating certain foods prior to sleep. They will also help you sleep better as well. No, so no one wants to give me any additional sleep problems that they're having. Is that right?
Well, Yvonne did say her husband wants to know why she falls asleep the
Okay.
moment she sits down to watch TV. Is
Well,
that correct, Yvonne?
that's her
Wait on,
former.
let's see. She's just unmute yourself, Yvonne, and hang on, I'm just going to add it a spotlight.
So Yvonne, when you fall asleep like that, are you having sweet dreams?
No, I hardly ever remember dreams.
When you fall asleep in front of the television, are you laying down in bed or are you on a recliner or sitting on the couch?
Just in a chair. Yeah.
In a chair. And so how long do you end up sleeping there before your husband caresses you to get into bed the where you're supposed to be?
Oh, I wake up, but I just sort of doze off. I can't even go to pictures without going to sleep.
Okay. So how long do you think you are sleeping in that position before you end up going to bed?
Oh,
Maybe an hour or less?
it can be before dinner or after dinner. It doesn't matter. As soon as I sit down, I go to sleep at night if the TV's on.
Okay. Well, that means the programs you need to watch have to be more stimulating. They're too boring or something.
That's right.
Who knows? Well, that's an interesting consideration, and I've had family members that do the same thing, and they're doing just fine and they enjoy it. Do you ever dream that you can tell that you dream during those periods?
No, I can't.
No, okay. So it's like a little cat nap thing before you go to bed.
Yeah.
When do you actually get to your bed to sleep, your full night's sleep?
Oh, about 9 o'clock.
About 9 o'clock. So you're watching television maybe around 7 or 8 and dozing
Yeah.
off, and then you get up and go to, and then when do you get up in the morning?
Oh, about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay, well, you're definitely setting yourself up for at least your 8 hours worth of sleep and so forth. Well, it sounds like you've got a pretty healthy group here tonight as far as no sleep issues. But the biggest thing that's so amazing to me is, are you the only one, Bronwyn, that has the sleep watch?
Oh, well, it's not necessarily a sleep watch, but it just happens to have that app on it.
Okay, the
But it
sleep
doesn't
tracker.
doesn't seem to work properly because it's sort of like it didn't even record it the other night
Okay,
at all.
so it is a sleep tracker. And what I was going to show you, if it's all right, I'm going to move into my screen share quickly here before I.
My husband has trouble sleeping,
Oh,
but
what's
he's
going on with him? Are you going to
oh,
represent what he's
who knows what's going on with
doing?
him. But then he
Okay, so
works
you.
night shift, so that can be an issue. There's the fact that he
Oh,
works night shift.
oh, really? What's he doing as a night shifter?
He is a counsellor with Lifeline.
Oh, how fun. I've worked the night shift myself, but the Lifeline, are you talking about all those laboratory values that people are talking about, or is it
No, it's
suicide
a counselor. It's a counselling. People can
counseling?
ring in for help. You know,
Okay, so he's
suicide or just need someone to talk to. So I don't know if your lifeline is the same as ours here, but it's
yeah.
very can be very heavy.
Yes, I
It's
can understand that. So
it's
he's there to help people sort through things when they need to talk.
yeah, and sometimes just all they want is for him to listen.
Someone to listen. Very good.
Mm.
So I see that you can see my screen, I believe, right?
Yes,
Okay.
if you
How
bring it up nice and big.
Yeah, here we go right there. Okay. Oh my gosh, I have to find the right. Okay. So do you see this one here and this one here?
Yeah,
And there's a lot of similarities, but one thing to notice, and they began doing these studies in the 70s, quite a few years ago, and one of the lead investigators that I first learned about all of this was Dr. William Dement, who was a researcher at Stanford. And I lived very close to Palo Alto, Stanford. I was in the San Jose, San Carlos area, and I bought his book. I was just so intrigued with his studies because he determined through his technology to measure the brain waves in a way that hadn't really been studied that well in the past. Because when you take a whole group of people, you hook them up to these leads into an electronic device that measures all these sleep profiles, just like right here. And now we have the technology where it's totally mobile. You don't have to go into a sleep center and be hooked up to all those wires and sleep in a hospital bed or a bed of sorts that's not like your own environment at home. But what's characteristic of the sleep cycle is that it's based on body mass. A child, for instance, would have a cycle of wakefulness and then moving. Can you see my pointer? Does that show up with you?
Yes, I can see your pointer.
Okay, great. So when you're awake, it's up here. And then the wakefulness phase of sleep is a very high frequency wavelength. So it's got a lot of energy to it. The REM stage is lower, but it's still a high frequency of what they call rapid eye movement sleep, and that's how it became named as REM sleep. But it's a high energy wavelength, a little less than the wakefulness phase. The core sleep phase is this baseline of sleep that happens throughout the night. And the deep sleep is the slowest wave sleep. And this cycle that goes from REM sleep through core sleep down to deep sleep and then back up to REM sleep, core sleep, and deep sleep again is approximately 90 minutes ideally, and it would be a regulated frequency. It's like if you're driving on a flat tire. You're not going to get a smooth ride, if you know what I mean. And so the smoother this phase is back and forth, the better. The first half is when most of the deep sleep occurs, the slowest wave sleep. And this deep sleep was in those days, he called it stage 4 sleep. Now they've consolidated it as the stage 3 and 4 sleep because apparently the stage 3 isn't that significantly different than the stage 4, but it's the lowest, slowest frequency of brain waves. And this is when your body restores itself. It's kind of interesting because all of this is going on in the brain, but it's a reflection of how the brain is processing repair in the body. So if you've had surgery, it's really important for you to have this. If you have, the immune system activating the necessary, cells that fight infection or other disease processes, but especially if you need to replace cells and heal from surgery, this is a very important part of body restoration because we have cell turnover all the time, actually. And different cells will turn over faster than others. For instance, bone doesn't turn over as quickly as mucous membranes in the mouth and the gut and in the kidneys and the heart. They're all different, but they're all going to change when it's their time. And then this REM sleep is when we dream. And this plays a very interesting role because it's also when our brain processes disturbances and mood concepts that impact our physiology. That's why what we think about in our anxiety impacts our physiology, right? We know that when we get really hyper, our blood pressure can go up, we can develop irregular heartbeats, we can get headaches and just not feel that well. It's going to impact the release of digestive enzymes in the gut and cause stomach problems, maybe even constipation. But The whole idea is the REM sleep is the balancing for the brain, and the deeper sleep stage here, slow wave sleep is when we restore our body. Now, in my study of medications over the years, especially in the 70s after I just graduated from pharmacy school, there were all kinds of sleep medications that were coming out on the market, and people were now taking a sleeping pill. Well, what they discovered is that a lot of the ones that were developed, and they were related to phenobarbital, say, the barbiturates, they tended to knock out the deep sleep. They knocked out the REM sleep as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
here you have a person that sleeps kind of like this. See right here? You have mostly core going on. So this represents a very tiny amount of time down here where they were in deep sleep to restore any of the physical needs that the body needed to turn over.
But I always thought that, well, you would think if you were given a sleeping tablet to sleep, that it would help you get a deep sleep.
That's the fallacy, and that's what's really alarming, because so many medications.
Because I know people who take sleeping tablets for that reason, because they're not getting any sleep and they want a deep sleep, and they still wake up just as tired and cranky and say, "Oh, I haven't had a good night's sleep." And I said, "Well, you're taking medication."
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons, and that's one of the neat things that showed up with Dr. Dement's study of sleep, especially with the barbiturates. Now, since then, they've tried to create medications that are less toxic to the deep stages of sleep and even REM sleep. The worst thing about it was initially they would have patients that would take their sleep medication, and that impaired REM sleep, the dream sleep. And this is a very high energy sleep wave. And what happened is, let's say they're taking it every night to sleep, and yes, they sleep, they're unconscious, and they think, well, they're obviously in bed. But what happens is, let's say after 6 or 7 or 8 nights of taking the sleep medication, maybe they forgot it, or they ran out of a prescription medication, or they decided somehow they fell asleep, but they didn't take their sleeping medication. They would have a huge pile of all this pent up high wave, rapid eye movement sleep explode in their brain, and they would have horrific nightmares that just blew their brains out pretty much. I mean, that's a total exaggeration, but I'm sure you've heard of the idea of rebound, and REM rebound was a big problem. So a lot of the medications that had that REM rebound issue, and even a lot of the psychotropic medications that we use today that may be used for depression or even anxiety, because those all impact the sleep cycle as well. So when you go off the medication, you end up with a overload of the body's attempt to explode what's been suppressed. It has been suppressed for so long that the body needs to. It's hard to know exactly what the exact mechanism is, but there's a definite rebound effect that makes it difficult for people to get off that medication. And so it's very important to gradually take them off that medication so that they don't end up
and find natural ways, which even though we don't have it here in Australia, I know in the US and Canada they can get, well, maybe not in Canada, that Longevity has brought out a really great sleep program that's all natural. I mean, we can't get it down here.
Well, I can
won't let it in.
Yeah, I can give you some tips on the natural sleep inducing things, but the types of,
well, as Rusty said, the Osteo FX is brilliant to have.
So that's working well.
Sleep.
So what happens with the Osteo FX if she misses a dose?
Good question. Rusty, can you answer that?
Or does it ever happen? Maybe it never happens.
Well, I know that she had run out of it there at one point when we were having issues with shipping. But and she was ever so glad to get it back. So now she has a stockpile so she doesn't run out.
Okay. Well, it's
So
just
it obviously made a difference.
okay. Now
But
this
she
whole
mightn't be, in a position to type that in right at this minute. But I know that was a little while ago.
yeah.
So,
Well, it's something to be aware of. And there, unfortunately, there's a lot of other medications that cause a similar complication. For instance, if you're taking high blood pressure, it can impact the sleep profile. And then if you happen to miss a dose, you can get a rebound effect. Now, let's say you're taking an antihypertensive agent at bedtime, and then you forget one night. Well, usually those are designed to work for at least 24 hours. So the next night, when the 24 hours are over, you should be taking that next dose to keep your activity consistent. And if it gets missed, then the body may compensate by having that rebound effect. And then people end up having a heart attack between 2 and 6 in the morning, because their blood pressure exploded or their arrhythmia got way out of hand, if you know what I'm saying. So it's really important if you are taking those type of medications to be sure that you stay on track, which of course every doctor will tell you. But that's one of the reasons why is because of that rebound effect. And if it can lead to strokes as well as heart attacks because of the arrhythmia impact. And there's that's a serious impact and important.
so what if people wanted, would really, and because a lot of our clients want to get off the pharmaceutical drugs, they want to find natural ways. Would you recommend that if they want to do that, they wean themselves off slowly?
Well, they definitely need to work with their doctor to assure that they're well managed during that phase. And
Mm,
I can't make any recommendations at this point because it's such an individual
yeah,
management issue. And
yeah,
it's
that's
not
true.
uncommon. It's not uncommon for people to forget one dose, at bedtime. But that
Mm,
one dose may happen at a point where the blood is really sluggish and a little clot gets released, and then you end up with a stroke in the morning or something. But it's something that's just a hazard that comes with medications because our body works on such a perfect cycle. As you can see, everything is a cycle. And so if you were to, it's just like if you were to hold your breath and not let anybody breathe, for a minute or two, the minute you allow them to breathe, they'd be gasping for breath, right?
yeah.
Because the cycle was interrupted. So it's just a consideration and an important thing to be aware of. Now, this is kind of interesting here. As I mentioned, it's pretty much a core night's sleep. So how well do you think that person's going to wake up in the morning? Are they going to feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed?
No, I wouldn't think they would because they
Yeah,
haven't had any recovery. They've really not. Their cells haven't recovered.
it's not the quality sleep. Now, aside from that, this is also the time when the body cleans out the brain with that with the lymphatic system. We were talking about lymphatics last time. And
Yeah,
we do need to get rid of a lot of toxins because our body is so active. I mean, our brain, it really never sleeps, if you can imagine. It's always processing something. We're thinking all day, and yes, we do sneeze, and our consciousness is interrupted. But the brain is still actively keeping all the enzymes going and making sure our breathing happens at least, 12 times a minute or whatever, and the heart's beating, and is still responsible for a lot of activity. As a matter of fact, the brain has if you get dehydrated, it can throw off the function of the brain and it needs a certain amount of sugar, not too much sugar. But if you're hypoglycemic, it can also throw you into a loop as well. The brain is very active. Okay,
mm,
so what's interesting is this particular situation right here, the person ate just before bedtime. Can you see that?
yeah.
So
Well,
here,
I can't see that they ate before bedtime, but
well, I'm trying to tell you that this is
yeah.
what their sleep profile looked like when they ate relatively close to bedtime. So minimal deep sleep at all.
Mm.
And it took a while. Now, usually REM doesn't kick in that much in the early phases. Now, here, this is an early phase sleep. These are really great profiles here. This one, there was a little bit of a delay in REM sleep, but still good, healthy REM sleep here. REM ended up here, but no deep sleep in the beginning. And that's again when the body needs to restore itself, and it's part of the physiology that keeps us healthy. And then the REM sleep didn't kick in, and it was pretty marginal as well. So whether it's food or alcohol, and alcohol can cause really serious problems here because alcohol is a vasodilator, so it gives you initial hypotension, lowers blood pressure. But the alcohol doesn't stay in the body long enough to last all night. So when the body finally eliminates all the alcohol through breathing, it can give you a rebound effect. And that's when some strokes have also been associated with, along with the food, you know, because the food will eliminate this deep sleep, which helps.
That's interesting because some people find they can't sleep unless they have a bit of alcohol. They reckon it helps them sleep.
Well, it does definitely help them sleep, but there's also a rebound effect. And if they're doing it consistently every night, their system may compensate for it in some fashion. But a lot of people do drink and have that nightcap before, bedtime to help them sleep. And it definitely can put you to sleep. But if you do it on a long-term basis, your sleep profile is not going to maintain the needed ideal situation for a long-term healthy living, basically. So
Interesting.
anyway, do you have any questions about any of these, or doesn't, because I'll take it off so we can go back to normal. Grant, you look
Okay.
like you're studying everything
Grant
carefully.
always has
And
questions.
seriously,
I always study these things, Lisa. I'm very curious about this repair. Like the repair happens in the deep sleep and the REM.
absolutely. Not REM sleep. REM, if you want to think of it, REM is when the brain reconfigures all the insults and all the joys and all the wonderness of everyday life and all the thought processes, the consolidation and stuff like that. And sometimes another big aspect of healthy sleep is if you remember your dreams. Do you ever remember your dream?
Not very often.
Not very often?
No, I do have them, but I forget what they were in the morning.
Okay, well, so there's two types of dreams. They're the type of dreams that you had a dream, and then there's the type where you really had the dream and it was a nightmare, or it was really wonderful, and you can talk about it the next day because it was like
Yeah.
really luscious or whatever. So those are two types, but most people do dream, and often they don't even remember it.
Mm.
I'm mostly in that back. Yeah.
They, like, for instance, here this person had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dream periods. This person had more. They probably didn't remember all those dreams. They could have, but the body still has several dream periods, and it's sort of a thought cleansing process, because if you take medications that eliminate this dream phase, that's when you get those violent explosions of rebound, which are not good physiologically. Now, unfortunately, with the deep sleep, if you miss a bunch of deep sleep, there's no rebound of deep sleep. You just miss out and you slowly dissolve away. You don't really stay as healthy as you could stay. And I'm sure you've heard of Sleeping Beauty, right? Who hasn't heard of Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah.
From a kid, yeah.
Okay,
So was she in deep sleep all that time?
Well, she was definitely a sleeper. Okay. And I'm sure you may have worked with people that don't get much sleep because of kids or demands or whatever. They look uglier than the rest of the people. And one of the reasons is because during deep sleep, that's when we make muscle, and we consolidate muscle with, collagen, the connective tissue that holds all of our beauty in place, so to speak, all the sagginess and whatever that happens with age, gravity pulls things down. But having tight and well put together collagen, which holds together our entire body, that happens during deep sleep. So
Mm.
it's really funny. One time I was listening to another lecture and he was talking about how important it was to get your deep sleep or to even get your 8 hours of sleep, because he was trying to say that, if you don't get enough sleep each night, you're going to look ugly over time. He was trying to be polite about it. But when collagen falls apart, people end up sagging with a lot more stuff because that's when the body restores itself physically. And we don't really see what's going on in the intestines or the kidneys or all the cells that are being replaced in, our skin necessarily. We don't see a lot of what's going on in the body. We don't really know what's going on in the heart, but we measure EKGs and we can measure what's going on in the brain now because we're discovering how these brain waves work and what they represent. So, like, who cares if it does that, if it doesn't have a consequence associated? But I interrupted your question, Grant. Go ahead with your question.
Oh, I've got a couple really. So if someone's taking sleep medication, then they don't get into deep sleep that often and their body doesn't repair as quickly. Is that right?
Well, I can't really speak for every individual person because this person here wasn't taking any medication. So there are other factors that interfere with deep sleep. And for the most part, depending on how, the person's physiology is and what the actual medication is, if I were going to be put on a medication that was a prescription, especially if it was for either high blood pressure or arrhythmias or, you know, congestive heart failure or anything that tended to slow the body down or reduce most everything, a lot of medications is designed to reduce because we're so stressed out. I would want to do a sleep profile first.
Oh, okay.
And so maybe take a sample for 2 weeks or something and see what that does. Because long term, if you're on those type of medications, your body's going to go through a period of adjustment. But I would really definitely want to check out my sleep profile. And, um, that's just one of the hazards. And I mean, I don't want you running back to your doctor and saying, well, I don't know if this is going to affect my sleep or not. But that's why foods are the better way, to lower blood pressure if you can do that, or exercise, or even stretching, or, resistance training, those type of things. And we'll go into it as soon as, we run out of time. I'll get into it. But what else did you want to talk about, Grant? What other question did you have?
My other one, I have a very good friend of mine. He's a master meditator. He's probably one of the best meditators in the country.
Great.
But so he goes a long time without proper sleep, but he gets into meditation mode, and he's very healthy. So I'm guessing he gets into deep sleep mode the whole bit while he's meditating.
Yeah, you see, that's another remarkable aspect because when we turn our brain off from stress, the only time that really happens a lot of times is with sleep. And then sometimes stress impairs our sleep altogether. But meditation is so healing. It can lower blood pressure, it can correct heart rates, it can improve digestion. And, uh, you know, so meditation may be a form of daytime sleep. It's hard to know, but it's the fact that the body's cycles are not interfered, like a baby, right? A baby will sleep
Yeah.
when they're first, born. They'll sleep because they haven't learned how to watch Sesame Street yet or something like that. Or do whatever kids like to do, running around, you know, rearranging the furniture and stuff like that. But, they sleep so much. And that's because they're growing and developing. And the body their brain is totally in charge of everything, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And when they feel hungry, they'll cry and then you feed them and stuff like that because they can't really communicate because their brain is, hypoglycemic or something is needed. They need to have their diaper changed or whatever. There's a discomfort there. There's little sensations that tell them what they need to do next. But when we start thinking about everything, we can rationalize, oh, I don't need to sleep right now, or oh, I don't need to do this right now. and that can interfere with what our brain naturally wants to do. So sleep is the brain's opportunity to recontrol the body. And meditation is another opportunity for the body to recontrol the whole body itself. Because as long as we're awake, we're thinking about things that interrupt with the natural patterns of our body's natural physiology. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So
He's very good.
meditation, I mean, your friend is probably a perfect example of a drug-free life, right?
Oh, he is. He is. He's like,
Absolutely.
he is.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what's his diet like?
Oh,
Do you want
he's
to
a
take a
vegan.
screen share off
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, sorry. Excuse
so
me.
we
he's
can
a
see you
vegan.
better?
Okay, yes. Okay, so let's see if I could do this without messing up everything. Stop the
You just go
share.
down to the bottom of the Zoom and press,
Oh,
yeah, that's it. Oh, look at that. We can
yay, we're
see you.
here. Okay.
My friend is a vegan.
Oh, okay.
Is
Well,
and he sleeps. He does sleep now, but for years he didn't sleep at all. He just meditated. But he meditated twice a day for 2.5, 3 hours. And he still doesn't sleep much, but he does meditate very well, very well. I can't do it. I mean, he does it. I can't do it.
so
I'm
what
not
does he
that
do
good.
for a living?
He runs a farm and he grows his own vegetables. And he's very organic and he's like a Buddhist monk, but he's not Buddhist and he's not a monk.
So,
But he's like that.
so
Yeah.
he doesn't
And
have to.
he's also an excellent martial arts instructor.
Oh,
Very
great.
good.
So he does get good exercise because you do have to have
Oh
some.
yeah, he's one of the strongest blokes I've ever met.
Okay, there you go. Well, he's found his element because he's created a life that is optimally beneficial to his physiology. And apparently he has the income from whatever he's doing and the peace of mind. I mean, I can't, how old is he?
Same age as me, 69.
Oh, you guys are babies. Okay, well, so he has plenty of mental alertness, right?
Oh yeah, he's fine. He's very good there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he's not on any prescriptions, and I'm sure if he got
No,
himself an Apple Watch, it would be wonderful to see what his sleep profile looks like. You see,
yeah, but he probably wouldn't. It would be nice to see, but he probably wouldn't.
But the whole idea is he's healthy
Oh, he's very healthy. Yeah.
and he's happy.
Yep.
Now,
He's
if
very
he was
happy. Yeah.
miserable and depressed, that'd be another story.
Oh no, he's fine. He's fine.
Well, that's good.
And
Now,
yeah, he's very healthy. So he's superb, really. Yeah.
well, that's a beautiful, beautiful picture of a person that I personally would love to have him do a sleep profile on, just to show how his lifestyle creates this sleep profile. And most studies would require 20, 30, 40, hundreds of people like him to demonstrate that this is the life that creates this sleep profile. I mean,
You'd,
it's all part of the
you'd,
scientific method.
there wouldn't be hundreds of people like him in Australia.
Well, there wouldn't be hundreds of people like him in most places. So, because not only that, there's a lot of people that may meditate, but they also eat French fries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or ice cream cones and drink or whatever. But so it's a whole, and the whole idea of him using his muscle is another important thing, because the more of a muscle mass you do have in your body, when you look at the ratio between fat and muscle, the more energy you have.
Yeah, he's exceptionally strong. Absolutely exceptionally strong. Yeah.
Well, that brings up another area about there's so many topics that are related, but the impact of food on sleep is one thing. And I know you've got that OsteoFX, but there's also a recommendation for, the need for protein, collagen, certain minerals to prevent sarcopenia. This whole thing started with sarcopenia. Do you know about sarcopenia?
No.
No?
No, I don't. I don't know what
Okay,
sarcopenia is.
sarcopenia is what happens in individuals starting from about 30s or 40s. But it really ramps up when you get to be 60 and 70 and 80. But it depends on your lifestyle. And that's where there's a weakening of your major muscles, even the muscles that help you open a jar. But the bigger muscles would be the gluteus and the thigh muscles. Those are the walking muscles. And this is where people that are elderly develop balance issues, and they may slip and fall easier. And once they fall, especially if their muscles have weakened to the degree that it has not been able to hold them up, they can barely get out of a chair without someone helping them, or they have to use a cane or a walker or even a wheelchair, God forbid.
Yep.
But those muscles are so weak that it usually reflects a mirror of the bone condition, because bones do not stay strong if you're not giving them resistance. That's why walking is so important to prevent osteoporosis. But walking also helps the sarcopenia prevents sarcopenia and keeps those muscles strong, but you definitely need resistance. And the best two exercises that you can do to prevent sarcopenia is to get yourself up on the kitchen counter and do push-ups on the counter like this, because it'll strengthen and give resistance to your upper arm and even your torso. And that
I do
takes
100 push-ups most days.
Okay, so you've got that covered, but a lot of people don't do that. And if you
Yeah.
don't, everything turns flabby and your muscles disappear, they dissolve, and then you end up with back problems. And those muscles also are what keep you warm when it's cold, because they metabolize calories a lot better and faster, so that you tend not to tend not to gain weight. So you don't eat as much, and you do eat, but because your metabolism is ramped up, you don't store as much fat. Okay, so that's the upper body resistance is really important to maintain. And more importantly, the bottom half is to just sit in a chair and get up without assistance. Sit down, get up, sit down, get up. Those are the type of exercises that use the gluteals and the upper thigh or the thigh muscles and part of your torso. And it's so important for you to do that, say 10 or 15, and maybe, at least twice a day. There's different things, and then there's people that have done squats. There's a whole host of exercises, but if you do those two basic ones, that can be really helpful to prevent the sarcopenia, especially in the lower part of the body. The squats are helpful for sarcopenia as well. The other thing is just standing up like this and getting up on your toes. That's where your calves are strengthened. Your calves are like your second heart. And the biggest problem that especially if you're a tall person, the biggest problem your heart has is getting that blood from your feet up 3 or 4 feet to your heart again, so it can pump it all over. And that's where the heart has to work so hard. And believe it or not, there's nothing to really help against gravity except your calves. That's why walking is so helpful. So those are the type of things you have to stay active with and going. I wanted to just quickly give you a recommendation for something that may help you sleep at night if that's a problem and you're not taking a pharmaceutical agent. But this possibly could be a solution. And the beauty of this, or the hazard of this, is you have to be consistent. You can't just do it one night and expect to have good sleep. It's like you're always brushing your teeth. You can't just brush your teeth once, floss once, and expect that to last you the rest of your life. So you want to have something like about an hour before. Well, first of all, you want to try and eat so that you're well before bedtime. Because if you eat too close to bedtime, you're going to wipe out your stage 4 sleep, and that's not good for you. And then you can get yourself 5 or 6 almonds. Almonds have vitamin E and healthy fats. Ideally, in the morning, you take those 5 or 6 almonds, put them in a little bath of water, let them soak all day. That way, they're a lot easier to not only chew. If you're really industrious and energetic, you take the skin off of it, which I don't, but I like to chew everything. But for older people, sometimes they don't want to chew as much, or they don't have the patience for it. But you do have to chew almonds really well because it has very important nutrients in there. And if it's not chewed well, you won't absorb it well. Okay, you have to break it down so it can fit into those little pores of the gastrointestinal tract. Then the second thing is walnuts. Now, this recommendation is also good for your brain because as time goes on, your brain doesn't get enough sleep, that's good sleep, and you become demented. Over a long period of time, a bunch of garbage gets collected up there. You don't clean stuff out. You don't sleep well. Consequences. So we're taking the walnuts again, chew them well, just 3 1/2. You know how walnuts look like little brains?
Yeah.
But
That's so that's just tell you that they're good for the brain.
right. So you only need 3/2. You don't need to have 2 whole ones, but whatever. It wouldn't hurt, but at least that amount with your almonds. And then, if you can believe, 6 to 8 raisins. Now, raisins are a dried grape, but the thing about raisins is that they have a lot of fiber. They've got good glucose because your brain really does need glucose. You can't starve your brain of all sugar. But the beauty of raisins is that the sugar is released in a very slow and gradual fashion. So it feeds the brain throughout the night, or many hours anyway, and you're not going to get that spike. And then ideally, you would have your little 3 dried fruits, the almonds, the walnuts, and the raisins, and then about 4 ounces, 4 to 6 ounces of warm water, not hot water. Because your brain has to be hydrated as well, but you don't want to drink as much water that you're going to end up filling your bladder all night type of thing and having to run to the restroom. Or you could drink herbal tea, a little bit of herbal tea that doesn't have any caffeine. Make sure you don't have any green tea or caffeine in there. And that's
Peppermint tea is good.
I'm sorry.
Peppermint tea is good.
Peppermint tea is perfect. As a matter of fact, I have a friend that she drinks a small glass of water, not too much, with 3 drops of peppermint in it. And she says she sleeps like a baby. So peppermint's also very good, but mint tea is probably a great idea as well. Now, the secret is you must do this every night because not only does your body like the consistency of it, but you don't want to pull the rug out of the body all the time, and if you're expecting it, it's okay if you miss a night, but don't expect to get the best results if you're only doing it 3 or 4 times a month or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You'll get the best sleep if you can consistently do it, because then your body consistently expects it and your body consistently performs. And it takes a while. It's just like if you're trying to build muscles and run a marathon, you're not going to be able to do the whole 27 miles on the first time you try it. You're going to work your way up, just like with all the breathing exercises we've talked about. You want to work up to, you want to continue to challenge your body so that your body becomes stronger, but you can't just blow everything out of proportion on the first or second try. But you want to do it consistently. That's really important.
And how soon before bedtime would you suggest that people do?
About an hour. About an hour.
And how long do you soak the almonds for?
Well, get up in the morning and put your almonds in some water. And by the time you're ready for your 1 hour before bedtime, they'll be ready for you too. Now, whether you take the skin off or not is up to you. I take the skin, but I don't have any trouble sleeping either. So I just,
Okay, so I'm going to ask another question then, because there are people like my mother-in-law who won't eat nuts because it gets under their teeth and stuff.
yes.
Can you, and I have to do this with a lot of her food at the moment, can you puree it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can take a mortar and pestle like the old pharmacy days, grind it all up into a little powder. Yeah,
Mm.
you could do that. How is she with
And
raisins?
beg your pardon?
How does she do with raisins? Raisins.
Well, I've never seen her eat them.
Okay. Well, raisins are kind of gummy and definitely have to brush your teeth afterwards, type of thing. But you could puree them too as well, or cut them up really well.
Yeah, I would. I just like she takes a sleeping tablet, but it's clearly not doing anything because she's up all night.
Oh, okay. Well, here's
Goes to
another
the toilet
thought.
every 5 minutes.
Here's another thought. You could take all of those ingredients and grind them up as best as you can, maybe cut up the raisins if you want to do that. And then add your water, the hot water,
Mm.
to it, and mush it all up into like a little slurry thing if you want.
Yeah, I don't know
Because,
whether she'll agree with it or not, but I said
well,
she takes a sleeping tablet. She takes a lot of these tablets you're talking about, and they're not doing her any good.
well, that's the problem. And maybe if we could just talk to her about,
She's awake. She literally gets up every 5 to 10 minutes and goes to the toilet. She won't keep herself hydrated either. I'm struggle to get her drink enough.
okay.
Oh
Now,
no, I don't want to drink because I'll have to go to the toilet all the time. I said, that's why you're going to the toilet all the time, because you're not
okay, yeah,
staying hydrated.
you don't have to use too much water with this little recommendation. The other thing is another medication that can be helpful for sleep at bedtime is magnesium glycinate. Magnesium. Has she ever tried that? Magnesium glycinate?
You know, she actually had the only time she seems to have a good sleep is we have a really awesome hot chocolate in longevity. And I make the hot chocolate, but I put the liquid OsteoFX in that as well, and a bit of collagen, unbeknownst to her. And if I give her that, and she won't have it every night, but when she has it, she always sleeps better that night.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And because the osteo has magnesium in it, has calcium and magnesium in it.
Does she take the Osteoflex then?
Now, she only takes it if I sneak it into something that she doesn't know.
Oh, okay.
She's on so many medications, it just, oh, I don't want to take another thing.
Does she exercise at all?
No, not really. She does do things around the house though, because she wants to. She doesn't like just sitting around doing nothing. You know, she'll vacuum it, or not vacuum, mop and sweep the floor. And she's 88, but
Does she take a nap in the afternoon?
she sleeps pretty much all day.
Okay.
And lounge.
So then she doesn't really have that much need for sleep all night.
She just naps. She doesn't even, that's not even quality sleep.
Okay, so what time does she try to go to sleep? Around 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock?
Yeah, usually about 8:30, sometimes 9:30.
Okay, well, a couple of things that could help are those resistant exercises. I don't know if you could get her to do her thing on the counter. You could do it with her or whatever, but that resistance in the body muscles will help her fall asleep. It'll also help if she does this, you know. It's
Yeah.
not too outrageous. It's not like she can even lean onto the table. And then if she can sit down and get up and sit down and get up 10 times, you know, whatever you can do that way. Does she ever dance? You know,
No, not these days, but
not these
like
days.
she
However,
actually she had a radiation at the beginning of the year for a month. And I tell you that I reckon that aged her a good 10 years. She went from being very vibrant to pretty much just existing, and it's really heartbreaking.
How are her joints?
Well, the interesting thing is she's had rheumatoid arthritis for years, will not listen that I can help her reverse that. However, when she was going through she had to stop taking the medication to have the radiation. And then she had another issue in July, reaction from the radiation, and she had to stop taking them again. And the doctor actually said to her, this is what caused your cancer. The rheumatoid arthritis medication she's on, and I kept trying to tell her that one of the side effects is cancer, and she said that, and she hasn't taken it since. So
cancer resolved now, or is?
Oh yes, but the after effects of the radiation were worse than the cancer itself. She wished she'd never had it.
Well, slowly but surely, if she could do more resistance, even bands like this,
Yeah, I've got a resistant band here.
Smaller numbers, 2 to 5 or 10 of them, and then the getting up and down, as long as she's not taking her knee out of joint, but it can make a huge difference. And the beauty of using our muscles, believe it or not, is that it releases this chemical compound called brain-derived neurotropic factor, which is so perfect for the brain because it is a neurotransmitter that can only be produced by the body. You can't take it externally, but it's produced by the body when you use the muscles. And it's just it has a very, I don't know if you want to call it calming effect or efficiency effect, but there's just a sense of peace that goes with it.
That's good. I mean, I suggest things to her and try to encourage her all the time, but oh well, I'm 88, I think she sort of and then if my husband suggests it, she'll try it, but if I suggest it, it's like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know that's hard because I have family members and friends that are plus and minus with a lot of things. So we don't want to see these people suffer, and we want to help them. But all we can do is what we know, if they're interested, if they're open to it, because otherwise they might just sever the relationship, and then that's not very therapeutic. But I think
she lives with us, so
okay, well,
and she's a dear friend. It's because of her that my husband and I met, because we nursed together many years ago.
Oh, wonderful!
And she introduced me to my husband, her son.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well, 44 years on, and we're still together.
How many years now?
44.
44.
We just had our 44th wedding anniversary on the weekend, last Friday, actually.
Oh, no wonder this was a busy weekend for you. Yes, of course. That is so beautiful. Well, you love her, and we try our best with those that we love. And that's all.
Well, that's true. We do. We finally, and it's an amazing thing. We have some absolutely amazing protein shakes in our longevity line, and she says, oh, you don't see me without my clothes on. My muscle mass has all disappeared. This is since the radiation, and I've been trying to encourage her for quite some time to have our protein shakes. Anyway, as soon as my husband made them for her.
Yeah. Okay, well.
He makes them every day for her, makes up a big lot, and she drinks it throughout the day.
Key factor. So to build back the muscle, you do need to have the magnesium, the zinc, the K2, vitamin K2, calcium, collagen, and protein.
All of which we have.
All of which you have, and stick with it. But that resistance is really important.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I do what I can to encourage her. And she walks on her own.
Good.
She still walks on her own, although when we're down the street, I do support her, but not because she can't walk on her own, but it's more to keep her safe from being knocked over.
Fine.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely, because we don't want anyone to break their hip.
No, and she does tire very quickly. So it's sort of, if she, has got me to lean on, if she I just need to stop, so.
Oh, sure. Good.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyway, that's just, but, if I'm not there, I mean, if she wants to go into a particular shop on her own, she'll just take off and go in without me. So.
Well, where there's a will, there's a way.
There is.
And the thing
she's strong. She's stronger-willed than what she lets on.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this has been a very interesting call, and I do pray that I do know that a lot of people catch these later. They might not get on the call at the time, but this has been absolutely amazing. Pharmacist Lisa, because that's what you are. You're a pharmacist. We call Ben Pharmacist Ben. So, and but it has gone 1 o'clock, so we will let you go. It's 1 o'clock my time, PM, not AM, just in case people were wondering. And it's been very informative, and I look forward to having you again sometime. If you will be willing to come back, we would love to have you.
Certainly, maybe we could work something out in November. And my next topic that I would very much like to review is the power of circulation.
Oh, that sounds like a good one to me as well. That's like a good one. And look at that. See, now we've got people coming on who have obviously misread the time, but that's okay. We can understand that. They'll have to just catch the replay. But as I ask everyone here nicely in Bronie's world, to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And if you've missed today's call, you can catch the recording. I will get it up, depending on the internet and circumstances with grandchildren. It'll be up before the end of tonight on my Facebook or my YouTube channel. You can catch it at either place. And I tell you, if you are having trouble sleeping, or someone who's having trouble with sleep, you are not going to want to miss this call. And if you do that, take some advice that Pharmacist Lisa has shared with us today, then you too, my friends, will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. Catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's World. And thank you, Dr. Lisa. Pharmacist Lisa. Call you doctor. He might as well be a doctor. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Bronie, and thank you, Pharmacist Lisa.
Yes.